and fellow Vikings. Warm welcome to Horse Talk. And the topic for this live is a little bit like when miracles happen. Like, there was this pony in the program that kids, they didn't want to ride him or anything because he was so stubborn and difficult to ride and ignored riding signals and carried on. And the kids really didn't want to ride their pony anymore. And 3 sessions later, he's suddenly a favorite and can ride at liberty. And there are a couple of other, you know, incidents like this that has happened with the Ride Like a Viking members, and often it has been quite severe problems who have, not always suddenly, but that have disappeared. And I think some of the reason for this is that these horses, they were, of course, trained and handled and such, but usually not with a mindset of liberty and letting the horse kind of choose. And if we kind of control the horse and make them do stuff, we get into problems because the horse has some kind of other idea or another underlying problem that we don't really notice, like ignoring signals or spooking or bolting or stuff like that. But since we come into with the mindset of actually training the horse, we get less progress than if we come into a mindset of letting the horse choose and letting the horse kind of show its problems, if this makes sense. So let me know in the comments below if you have tried some kind of choices or liberty with your horse, and if you then actually maybe you found in the beginning that the horse actually got worse. But on the other end, maybe just 3 sessions later, a huge problem the horse has been having for years suddenly was gone. And I think this is a little bit because horses then get stuff kind of out of their system. So if we go to therapy or to a coach or something, we are never told to like behave and keep things on the inside. We are supposed to then let stuff out and relive them and get our emotions out in the open so that they you know become less and eventually disappear. And I think it's a little bit the same with horses. And since, like, traditionally and the way horses are handled are usually not with a mindset of letting the problems out in the open and not controlling them and giving them choices. Very often we approach horses with like a mindset of training them and fixing stuff, which actually in some ways prevents us from fixing the stuff, because the horse starts behaving and starts you know hiding their emotions in a way. And then we can't really get to the cause of the problems and really solve them. And this might seem like a difficult thing to do, but it's actually quite easy. So it's the most of the work is actually changing our own mindset from you know when we discover a problem to actually then celebrate it, because that's how we can actually fix it, versus trying to approach horses in a way that we want them to be like problem free. And if there's a problem, we tend to kind of want to hide it a bit and make the horse behave better, while what we actually need to do is to allow the horse to become a little bit worse before they can actually become better. Yes, and I have a very, very good example, because the other day, one of Ride Like Viking members, she entered a program with a pony that were supposed to be her children's pony. And, they didn't want to ride the pony because the pony was stubborn and he ignored signals and he was always wanting to graze. So she did the grazing exercise with the pony. So first she did it herself with the pony, and it worked wonders. And then she did it with her kids so that her kids also could then use the same tools she had learned from the grazing exercise on the pony. And after 3 sessions, the kids were riding this pony at liberty in the grass. And the pony had gone from like a bad apple and a problem horse to becoming the kids' favorite horse. And they were unstoppable. They were now fighting to ride him. Versus earlier, she had to kind of drag them to the stable and try to persuade them to ride the pony. So, and this happened because, of course, this pony had a huge grazing issue. He was kind of a grazing maniac. So, whatever you were handling him or brushing him or riding him or training him, he was always thinking about the grass. And he had also learned to become stronger, especially stronger than kids. But he also managed to, pull adults out of the saddle. But by then giving him a choice when it came to the grazing and get the horse to start to associate then grazing with more work than not grazing, and definitely not trying to control him from grazing, but get the problem out in the open and fix it by giving choices. This pony went from being a grazing maniac to become a kid's favorite horse and to ride at liberty, because he was a trained horse. So, but the stuff the horse knew and the signals he was supposed to, respond to, they all vanished when he saw the grass. So by solving this one thing, this pony went from a grazing maniac to become a favorite horse because they solved a problem which we are not able to solve by controlling the horse and trying to prevent them from grazing, because that actually makes the grass even more tempting. And this can, happen with a whole lot of other issues we have with horses as well. So a horse being reluctant to leave the stable and bolting homewards, we might say the horse has a bolting issue, but the actual issue might be that, we have a stable magnet and the horse doesn't want to leave the stable. And we don't solve that by making the horse leave the stable. Or we could have a horse who has separation anxiety, but we don't really see it as separation anxiety. We see it as, the horse being anxious and unpredictable and suddenly, explodes. While when we start thinking about it, these situations maybe happen only when the horse is alone or when the other horses aren't there, stuff like that. So we solve it by actually solving the separation anxiety, not by training the horse more. If this makes sense. So, and if you are riding this summer and you have a grazing maniac or a horse that you feel like you need to control the horse all the time so that the horse doesn't graze, then I welcome you to join our grazing exercise, which is now free and available, for anyone who wants to try it. And it could be that you go from having a problem horse to getting a dream horse by just solving this one thing. But I can't, say for sure if this will work like magic for you, like it did for Ann-Sofie Eriksson and her pony. But it could very well be that you 3 days from now or 3 sessions from now have a completely different horse, if your horse is thinking about grass when ridden and handled. Because by getting rid of the grazing ID, you suddenly then have a partner who is, thinking about you and responding much, much better to your signals. Yes, and Tommy says, that grooming and picking up feet with your new little mare is much more enjoyable at liberty. Yes, that's so true, because it is by doing liberty and actually giving the horse choices and the freedom to leave that, sometimes we get more problems than by just doing it by tying them up. But we actually then have a tool through the liberty to actually solve the problems and give the horse a choice and get their, disapproval out of their system so that they actually approve. Yes, so I really love your work there, Tommy. But if you want to join the grazing exercise, if you haven't already done it with your horse, then check out ridelikeaviking.no/grazing, and you will get everything you need to succeed so that you can ride your horse on the loose reins through the grass, and also lead your horse on a loose lead rope through the grass without your horse snatching for grass. And it even works at Liberty, which Anne-Sophie discovered, who now has a dream pony just from doing this one thing. So I hope this helps, and I want to thank you so much for joining. And if you have a similar story, please let me know in the comments below of how you were able to transform a horse by working on the actual cause of the problems and not only manage the symptoms. Yes, and if you have tried the grazing exercise, then also let me know in the comments below how it went. It has, until now, it has transformed hundreds of horses, both small and big. It doesn't really matter the size of the horse. It still works, and it has definitely transformed our horses too, so that now we can ride out in the summer where there's grass everywhere on the loose reins and feel a much deeper connection with our horses than before we did the exercise and were trying to manage them from grazing all the time. So this is or can be a miracle cure. So I will also drop the link down below and put it in my bio so that can get access to this training. Okay, thank you so much for watching this evening, and have fun riding your horse. Okay, bye for now.